have a new composition opened up. This one is double length. Instead of 400 frames, it's 800 frames. So there's a little more wiggle room, and when we do the animation of the warp, it doesn't happen as fast. You can totally do a different thing and have a 400 frame length, but I prefer the slower movement of the warp that is given to us with the double length of the loop. So we're going to go into the effect controls, and we can go ahead and pop a keyframe down on either of these. We're at the 0, 0, so this is the square cubic, as close to cubic as you can get with the cubic fractal. Everything beyond that, any modifications made to warp is going to make a different shape. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and do this, and the two numbers, so this particular number, 62.5217, is the magic number for B. Figured that out based on just you get a frame and then you move this until, well, we got a rogue fractal here. Alright, so you move that until it goes back to the original situation, or at least close to it, and then we can see what it does. Let's go ahead and delete that again because we went back. Alright, so we're at 0 on warp A and warp B at the first frame. So we're going to go to the last one. We're going to go ahead and drop that number in there. And you see it doesn't look quite identical, but it's just one frame before. So it's going to go through that warp, and then it's going to end up at the frame just before the first frame. And that's perfect for a perfect loop. So we got that. So that's animating, going from 0 to that number. And we already have the keyframe down. Let's just open up this. Yeah, we've already got the keyframe down for the warp A, and we're going to go ahead and drop this number in to warp A. So right now we're having both the A and B go through the motions and end up finally at the same position, which is really cool. But if you wanted to experiment further, let's go ahead and delete these keyframes. This is going to perfect loop. These two numbers are suitable for what we need. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and pop those back down to 0. And we're back to here, and let's go ahead and get something else that looks interesting. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to start with, I guess that's fine. Yeah. And we can just do the warp A, and we don't need to actually do the math because you can do the math inside of After Effects in the setting here. So the number for warp A is this one here. I think we already had it copied, but we're going to do it anyways. And then make sure you're not overwriting it, and then go ahead and hit plus, and then paste, and then enter. So that is the same frame. We didn't actually go forward, so we just overwrote it. So that's fine. So we started at 25. We're going to go to the end. We're going to hit it here. We're going to go plus, Control V. Nope, capital V. Nope, Control V as in victory. Because that's what we're having here. We're doing a victory. And it's going to go through that A until it lands at the end here. So end, beginning, end, well, beginning, end. I guess it doesn't matter. Beginning and end is the what we call a loop. So it's traveling through that, and if you want to, you can go ahead and be like, let's find a good position here. B does not warp it as much. Depending on what other settings you have, you may be creating paths that intersect the camera. Um, let's see if I can emulate that here. Yeah, so there's points where the camera is obscured and creates that. That is when you're manipulating this, just go ahead and scrub through and see if there's any points where it like covers the whole camera. Let's find that one. Okay, there. So if you hold down Control, you can slowly interact with that element to, okay, that one. So we've gotten out of that. Oh, there's still some artifacts. Rather, not artifacts, but obscuration of the camera, which could be part of what you want. Um, but if you didn't want that, you could tinker with these settings and find what you need. So just to recap here, the warp, uh, whatever you are on frame 1, on A, you go up or down this number. Wherever you are at on frame 1 for B, you go up or down this number. And you can plus or minus whatever's in there. So you can find something aesthetically pleasing here. The scaling is probably what's causing that. And now we shouldn't have any. Yeah. So you find a good position there. Uh, and then it will loop. And then once you have your loop, so this is just an A loop. So the A travels and it goes its full amount. Oh, I think we messed that up. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so we want that. So warp A, and we're going to go plus. Yeep. Okay. Mouse work. Thank you. So warp A, we're going to move it to the end, and plus Control V. There it goes. Now it's going to warp through that, and lots of fun there. And so now that is a perfect loop. As long as you use these two numbers with A and B, or rather A and B, I have it reversed because I'm silly. I figured out B before I did A. It came later. B is something that you can loop much easier without having a lot of interference. So let's just go ahead and do B as well. So we're starting with that, whatever number it's on, and then we're going to choose the B number, which is at the top because I'm silly, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that, and then make sure we're not overriding it. Hit a plus, Control V, and click off of it. So now it is warping A and B at the same time. It's more difficult to see the difference because both warps are happening at the same time. But it is something worth playing with. Yeah, and you can go, I mean, you really don't need to go to really high numbers because all it is repeating it over and over again. So, like this, minus those magic numbers is going to get you the same result. So, just for simplicity, stick with the small variation into what you want. So we'll just go ahead and open up Noir, delete the camera because the camera is not doing us anything good. And it's going to go ahead and go through those things here as well. So this changes the settings for the entire effect, changes the preset. We're going to go ahead, let's go to oven as well. We're going to delete the camera again. And then once again you have another unique loop. I thought there was an obscuration of the camera there, but doesn't look like it. Looks like it goes all the way through and then ends up where it started. And we're going to go look at another one. We're going to go here. What was the one we were on? Oh, it was not a actual preset. So we got tech. We're going to delete the camera. There's the start. There's the end. Start, end. And so we're going from 2510 on A. Oh, that's why. I don't know how that got there. We're going to go 0, 0 on that. We're going to go ahead and delete. Oh, we're starting on 0, 0. So either way, you start or you end. We're going to go back to the start. We're going to delete that. So on A, we're going to go to our magic A number, which is down here. Once again, silly. We're going to go ahead and put that in because it's just a natural number, and then we're going to take the B and pop that in here. Now we're starting with those numbers, and it should go and oh, how did that happen? Okay, it should go and end up at the same thing. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's literally what I'm talking about. And once again, just to reiterate, we're going to go to purple, delete the camera. See, so much different. That's so crazy. So this particular sequence has a little bit more obscuration of the camera, but that is the same. So the warp is there. I see what happened. Okay. It changed the warp when we changed the settings. So these are the right numbers. So let's go back here, and we gotta go here and 0, and then here and 0. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a good representation of what the loop would look like with this setting. Now it's just pretty much obscured and chaotic. Just gonna see what we can do. Let's just reduce the detail, and the well, box size is not too high actually. Fractal scaling, no. Steps, I'm not sure what it is that is obscuring the camera so drastically here. Bias, oh, there we go. What's that? I'm going up so high and so low. Alright. Alright, that's something else. Yeah, so you'll have to tinker with settings to see what works, but the guarantee is, stop that. The guarantee is that when you modify the warp by that number, warp A by that number, and warp B by this number, you will get a perfect loop. The last frame will be one frame off from the first, And that is when you follow the first instructions of using a 800 or a 400 frame for 60 frames per second. It's different for others. May do a video on that later, but 60 frames is an optimal setting if your goal is to make loopable content. Oh yeah, mesh is kind of crazy because it's just very busy, but so that is, so our warps are there, and then we're just going to go to the end, and we're going to bring them down to 0 to make them back to regular. Okay, then I start with that, and you end with the same. Go ahead, play around with this, share what you've done, and another type of loop is coming up. Thank you.